Absolutely. I think there's so many different directions you can go in. And I became an entrepreneur around 2000, officially around 2013, though I dabbled a little bit earlier. I just didn't call myself that, I guess. And even in that period of time, now it's 2019 when we're talking, in the past 6 years, it's become explosive with the amount of things that you have. I think the first thing is to start following people that are doing what you want to do. And so I can name the people where when I first started back in 2013, 2014, where I started following their blogs, I started following their Twitter, I started reading everything that they did. A couple good examples are Jason Fried, who's the co-founder of Basecamp, which was previously, I believe, 37 Signals, but almost completely bootstrapped company based in Chicago, doing amazing things, and has an excellent book with his co-founder called Rework, and that's one of my Bibles. Like, I love the book. But before, I think it was before Rework came out, I was already following him online with his blog called, I think it was called Signal versus Noise. And so I'd read his stuff every day. And luckily he was a prolific writer. So I'd read his stuff every day. But finding the people that resonate with you. And Jason Fried and I have never talked. I don't think I've mentioned him on Twitter. I don't think he's even tweeted back at me. So he probably doesn't even know I exist. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that when you have, I guess you'd call it mentorship, as one person said, your mentors could be dead and it doesn't really matter, because you can still go through their books, you can still go through their diaries, you can still go through their audio, or whatever the case may be. You can still listen to their speeches if the technology was available at the time. And so number one is finding good mentorship. It doesn't have to be a mentor that knows you exist. So I think that's one. The second thing is finding good books. And I know that that's something that I just wrote about actually in Ink a few days ago, about the books that I read every single year. And there's actually some that I was thinking about it anyway. So there's some that I think are excellent. One of them is called Essentialism, and it's from Greg McKeown. And it really allows you to focus on what's important. So it's not quite the same as minimalism, like a Marie Kondo type of thing, which is super popular now, but more about prioritizing the things in your life. And if you're going to become an entrepreneur, there's going to be a million things to do, and you're going to have time to do about 100 of them. So there's going to be about 1 million things to do, and you're going to have time to do about 100 of them. And so you need to have your priorities in order. That might not sound like it has to do with programming or with, marketing or managing people or whatever, handling customers, which I've dealt with a lot of, if not all of those things, but it does, because you need to have your priorities in order to actually make an impact in the way that you want to make an impact. Another one is The War of Art, and that's by Steven Pressfield. And I read it every single year. And it's really about getting started. And it's really focused on creatives. And if you're an entrepreneur, whether you have a straight-laced entrepreneur startup that focuses on, you're a CPA and it focuses on the financial things, or you have a startup that's, working with school children and it's an art program, they're both creative. They're just different types of executions of it, and different types of personalities, obviously, behind them. But the intentions are the same. And that's, again, creating something out of nothing and creating value for other people. And so that requires being creative. The War of Art is an excellent book because it actually talks about what happens when you're stuck. And that's some of the work that I do with the Bites as Entrepreneur. A lot of the work I do with Bring Your Worth is really helping to get you unstuck. Because Steven Pressfield and a lot of my colleagues and people that I respect, we all understand that the tough part is often getting started, in sense of being a mental game with it. The last one I wanted to mention is Pivot by Jenny Blake. She's actually become a friend of mine, but I actually met her at a conference a few years ago that I went to. And her main focus in her book is how to go from one career to another. And if you're older than, say, 20, and you become an entrepreneur, you're likely pivoting from another type of career. Even if you stay like within the financial field and you go from Wall Street to becoming an entrepreneur that focuses on financial businesses, those are two very different animals. And you're gonna need to create some type of structure, personal structure. Again, you're seeing the pattern here, some type of personal structure. I call it scaffolding and Bring Your Worth, but some type of scaffolding for you to be able to be stable as you go into the entrepreneurship world. Jenny does an excellent job as far as talking about that, particularly if you're pivoting from a corporate structure to entrepreneurship structure or lack thereof. She also has an excellent podcast called Pivot, and it's worth checking that out too. So I'd say number one, getting mentorship from people that are alive or dead, people who don't know if you're alive or dead, people you don't have to connect with. So really taking all that in. And the second thing is getting a good library and leaning on people, myself included, but other people. You don't have to buy my books, but listen to someone, and have that bookshelf ready, because when Cuddler took off, myself and my two co-founders, we were not expecting that. So it wasn't like we were sitting there saying, oh, we have a hit on our hands and we're going to be on the cover of the Wall Street Journal by the end of the year. That we didn't think that. We were just three people bootstrapping. But luckily, we had planned out and did the reading. And I definitely did, because I did a lot of the strategy. So I had those books already on my shelf. I already had The War of Art and other books available. So when stuff started, and it moves fast, when you end up being on what my friend called a rocket ship, and you're just trying to hold on, then you want to have those resources in place. Those resources as mentorship, and those resources as in actual concrete books. Okay. So those would be the two big things that I would recommend the most. Coding and how to talk to VCs and all that stuff, you can figure that out.